Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today. Season 3, Episode 1 of The Rundown. Coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piroworski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most, here on the Rundown. 2A views, conservative news, and Craig. If I had known today was an anniversary show, I'd have worn the tux again. I'd have gone special.
It's not an anniversary show. It's just the first show, the first episode of the new season. Season 3. You know, there are a lot of folks out there who don't even know that this is our third season. Dude, you know, this is our 425th show.
So we didn't do a 400th episode
Yes.
anniversary special.
As a matter of fact, we did. You just forgot about it, but we did.
Okay. Gotcha. It's probably punishing my liver that day. No big deal.
Probably so, because you know what? It was a big deal, obviously.
All right. There we go. Yeah, it's probably somewhere around 25 episodes ago, I'm guessing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So how was your new year starting off?
Oh, man. I'll tell you, it's I actually got to go to a decent New Year's party. Did not plan on it. Normally I go flying on New Year's to watch the fireworks from above. I think I told you that. But I had a little mechanical issue in the airplane. We never got off the ground, so defaulted and went to a party, and the party was really nice. And you know what I did? I did on New Year's Eve. I sat around working some numbers, crunching, figuring everything out, Craig. And at about 8 o'clock that night, I realized that I was financially secure enough where I didn't have to go to work until the next year. So I had a good 3-4 hours off.
Could just take the rest of the year off, huh?
I did. Yep. Didn't have to go back to work till the first. Yep.
Well, it was pretty casual. We had a few friends over for New Year's Eve. You know, just kind of did. We did the whole taco bar thing. So everything was made from scratch. It was delicious. Everyone brought the sides and something to drink. We just kind of hung out and had a good time. Although the one thing is that, you know, the way New Year's Eve parties go when you do it at the house or when you have friends over, right? Everyone you stay after midnight. You generally got about 15 minutes to half an hour before, you know, you should go home.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, leave the house.
Yeah, go sleep in the yard.
Such was not the case. We had some folks who decided that they were just evidently they don't get out much because they were hanging out. And while I had a good time, it was way past my bedtime, and I was, It took a while to get through to give them the hint that you gotta go.
Yeah, and listen, that's even worse where you are because your New Year's doesn't come until 3 a.m. So I mean, that's these guys can stay up later for it. So.
We believe it or not, there's a time, right? Time zones. Yeah, it comes at midnight here too.
We've been over that. The only time zone that matters is East Coast. The rest of the world focuses on what's going on the East Coast and the New York Stock Exchange. Nobody cares about what time it is anywhere else in the world. We did have a radio show. We did our Arms Room Radio on New Year's Eve, and I will say this: that if you're going to bring 7-layer dip into a room that's about 9 feet by 9 feet, leave the bean layer out of the dip. Okay.
Yes. That's a pretty, at least if you're doing a show that's going to last more than half an hour.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep. It's a 2-hour program. Leave the bean layer
2-hour program.
Yep.
Last hour and a half, I'm sure it was saucy.
Oh, there was a lot of windows and doors open. Yep.
All right, enough of the New Year's banter. Looking forward to an exciting 2023. And with that, let's make sure to let the folks know for the first time in 2023 about our sponsors.
That's it. It's Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. You got yourself an AR in the past 5 years or so, probably got one of their barrels, don't even know it. Well, now you can go buy from them direct, get a new barrel for your next build, or rebarrel your current AR. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting a good fight behind the enemy lines. You can help make a difference in California's future today at the California Republican Assembly. you want some awesome field gear, some hunting gear, cold weather gear, whatever it happens to be, some tactical gear, go to uscombatgear.com. That's uscombatgear.com. And of course, you want yourself the best concealment holster out there on the market, the best tactical holsters available, handmade, each one of them by a veteran-owned and operated company. Go to Hog Holsters, HAWG holsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, and use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces, one word.
That's right, folks. These are our sponsors. They bring us to you in hopes that we'll bring you to them. So do us a favor. Do yourself a favor. Follow the links to their websites in the description to this program. Once you get there, I'm sure you will see some stuff that you like, some things that you believe that you can support. Kick them down a few bucks and make sure that you let them know that it was the guys over at The Rundown that sent you.
That's us.
That would be us. Okay, let's get into these stories today. And there were some very interesting ones, but this one is probably, while probably not the most newsworthy, is the most outrageous, and I figured we should start off 2023 with a wee bit of outrage and a little bit more of some of the stuff that was going on in 2022. For example, the outrage over things like exercise being white supremacy. Yeah, that's right. The exercise movement. There was an article in Time magazine, and actually, came across it at Breitbart, but there was an article in Time magazine where they were talking about the origins of the fitness movement in the early 1900s. And in essence, what they are saying is that the origins came not out of a desire to have people be healthier and stronger, out of a caring of people, but it was about creating an atmosphere where we could have more healthy white babies. It was actually, once again, being pushed there. Basically, what they're saying is this exercise historian is saying that exercise came out of the push for white supremacy.
See, this is what happens, Craig, when you run in the sun too long. It dries up all your brain juices, and you come up with stupid ideas like this. Although it's nice to see and prove that I'm not a white supremacist. That's a good theory. But this is ridiculous. I mean, why does this even get any publicity at all, except to embarrass the author who probably needs to bend over really far into a well and slip and fall. That way we don't have to see him anymore. This is just more liberal left-wing junk designed to take down the majority of the people in this country, the average white folks.
Well, Mike, so I've got a theory, and this is BS, maybe it's not, but it's a few things. Number one, understanding in the early 1900s, the progressive movement was very much in love with the idea of what was going on in the Soviet Union. Socialism was a big deal. And so part of what they appreciated about socialism was this idea of creating this perfect society, right? In other words, by government mandating things, by government telling you what to do with your money, by telling you how to raise your children, by telling you how you should take care of your own body, they figured they could create the perfect nation. Well, what's funny is she looks in this, the lady who wrote this piece for Time magazine says, well, that was about trying to create an Aryan race. Well, no, first of all, that was the Germans. Who, by the way, while it was their movement was rooted out of the socialist movement, different movement, but it was really the push of progressives. Now, here's what's funny, is when you look at what they consider to be white supremacy, right? It's pretty much, or whiteness, it's pretty much everything that we know that makes America what America is. It's the idea of individual rights, the idea of individual responsibility, the idea of working hard and succeeding, and going back to the idea of the individual, you being worthy of your time. In other words, you should be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. That is considered white supremacy. Now, these are the ideas, or the idea of a self-governing people. These are all ideas that did originate in the West, but have also been at the root of the growth of population, of success, and economy and science throughout the world. So they began as Western ideas, but they're really now worldwide ideas that are seen now as quote unquote white supremacy. And I'm like this: to me, if those ideas are what you call white supremacy, and those are, well, then, if those ideas, if just believing in those ideas makes you a white supremacist, then I guess I am a white supremacist.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of people that are white supremacists. If all it takes is exercise to be a white supremacist, it's
Uh,
I mean, it makes all of it. Anybody that goes out and does any exercise at all is now a white supremacist. That's just again ludicrous. I don't know how long I could dwell and try and figure anything else on what an idiotic statement this is by this author.
well, and keep in mind that these people are coming. They're coming from, when everything you learn is seen through the lens of race. Then everything is then racist, and that's what's happening here. Is they want you to look at everything through the lens of race. And so everything is going to be judged by what is the outcome for, peoples of different races. And if one less percentage point less person of color gets something good, or one more percentage points for a person of color has a bad outcome, then it is seen as racist.
That's there we are. We're all racists, right? That's what they would have you believe. Every one of us is a racist.
That is exactly what they would have you believe. But yeah, if you want to check out that article, it's over there at Breitbart. All right. This next story is kind of a two-pronged one. You know that there was this massive spending bill that was passed at the very, very end of last session. It was done with the help of Democrats and Republican leadership in particular in the Senate. Now, the House, there were Republicans who voted for it. But for the most part, Republicans overwhelmingly voted against it. But there were enough votes for them to actually pass it. And so what you've got now is you've got now Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden now are going to be teaming up. They're going to be getting together in Kentucky, and they're going to be promoting, quote unquote, infrastructure. Because evidently, Mitch McConnell got a lot of pork for his district, for his state of Kentucky in that big huge spending bill. Which, by the way, mind you, that in both the House and the Senate, they take positions where they're supposedly, and I say supposedly, against the idea of earmarks, even though there were over 7,000 earmarks in this bill. For those of you who don't know, earmarks is where they take a spending, a pet project, a funding thing that has nothing to do with what is in the actual bill supposed to be, and it's basically a carve out for specific people, groups, or districts. Now, this is all part of Biden's new effort in 2023 to promote, quote unquote, bipartisanship. Now, Mike, we were sold this bill of goods. Well, not we, the American people in general, the people who voted for this moron, specifically, were sold this bill of goods that he was going to come in and be the most transparent, be the most bipartisan president ever, and was going to bring us together. But that hasn't even come close to happening.
No. He's not quite the divider in chief that Obama was, but it's clearly the wedge is there, and he continues to hammer it in. Craig, I believe bipartisan to them means they lost the House, so that's why you're going to hear that word bipartisan a lot more. Because if they want to try and get anything through, they've got to go find those fringe Republicans in the House and get them to go against their beliefs and vote the way that the president wants them to vote. As far as McConnell, listen, this guy's almost the traitor that Mitt Romney is. He's willing to go anywhere, including back to his own district, with a whole bunch of money in his pocket from Uncle Joe.
Well, and that's exactly, by the way, Mitch McConnell. I mean, not Mitch McConnell. Mitt Romney was one of the Republicans in the Senate who voted for this measure. So just so y'all know, yeah, he is just like that. But you're right. What they want is bipartisanship, and what Republicans have shown, at least some of these Republicans have shown, is they can be bought, and that's exactly what it was. They were bought. They sold out their values. They sold in order to get 30 pieces of silver from the Democratic Party, and that's what they're going to now lean on. The Democrats are going to lean on for the next, for the next 2 years. Is hopefully they're going to be hoping that if, as long as we throw in some earmarks, we'll get some greedy Republicans to sell out what they claim to believe in.
Yeah, it's the nature of the corrupt political beast that we continue to feed that fire up there and watch it grow.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely unfortunate. I don't get me wrong. I'm not against the idea of trying to work with the other party. My issue is that working with the other party almost always means we have to basically give up on our values, on what we believe to be true. We have to continue to walk down the path of big government, of less individual rights, more government takeover of our everyday lives. And no, I think, because I definitely believe that there are many, even on the left, who recognize the attack on our freedoms that many of these things are, that this debt that we have now enslaved our children, our children's children, and our children's children's children with, this is not sustainable. And eventually somebody's got to step up and say no. And unfortunately, there were not enough of them in this most recent Congress.
Yeah, I've said it to you many times, Greg. Their definition of compromise is we do what they want instead of opposing them.
Yeah, well, there you go. They are very much, as I've noticed, to them on the left, whether you are right, whether you are moderate or liberal, has nothing to do with your position on issues. It has everything to do with how nice are you to Republicans. If you badmouth Republicans and call them names, well, then you're a progressive liberal. If you don't necessarily call them names, but you disagree with them on policy, then you are considered to be a moderate. But both of them vote socialist. Both of them vote to take away your rights, vote to redistribute your wealth. They just are. Some of them are nicer about it.
That's right, and don't forget, Craig. They're all racists.
Oh yeah, yes. Well, I don't know how many of them exercise, so that may not necessarily be the case.
Well, remember, it's not just exercise that makes you a racist. That's just one of the contributing factors. That if you happen to do that, you're a racist as well. Yeah.
Ah, okay. There you go. I'm glad. Well, actually, no. Let us be more specific. It means you are a white supremacist. It does not necessarily mean you are racist. Although, if being a white supremacist, see, that's the thing I'm confused about. If simply believing that you should exercise, believing that you should work hard, and earn your way in this world and be on time and use logic and critical thinking and look at objective facts, I didn't see or hear race in any of that. So I don't know if it makes you a racist. It just makes you a white supremacist.
Okay, we can go with that.
All right. Oh, so this next one. And I first heard about this. There's a school district here. It's the bigger school district. It's not the biggest school district in our area, in the Sacramento area, but it is a school district that is probably the most talked about. And it's our Sacramento City Unified School District here in Sacramento has decided, we're going to, when the fall comes back or we come back from 2023, after the winter break, we're going to be bringing masks back. And they're doing so in order to help stem the spread of COVID, flu, and RSV. Now, what's interesting about this, Mike, and once again, this is indoor masking. What's interesting about this is, even though the head of the White House's COVID response has said that there is really no evidence that mask policies help prevent the spread of respiratory illnesses. In this case, COVID, flu, and RSV. There are some who have actually theorized that the reason we're dealing with such dramatic cases of the flu and RSV is because we were social distancing and wearing masks and not interacting and not giving our bodies an opportunity to interact and get those germs or whatever, anyway, they're saying that because that all the stuff that we did lowered our immunity, and that's why you're seeing a lot of this stuff happening. But even still, it's nowhere near the levels of the pandemic. And one has to wonder what the heck these schools, once again, the educated folks, are thinking.
Yeah, one, the power, right? Two, to take your mind off what they're actually teaching, right. You can see where this is going. School year's getting ready to start back up. We need to deflect from the fact that we're going to be teaching, critical race theory and everything else there in New Jersey and in California, as the story cites. To think that somebody's going to wear a mask here, Craig. Here, I've got my response to wearing a mask. I don't know if you can see that. That's what I got for you. So,
I saw it bright and clear. It was quite obvious what your sentiment was.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah, so, I sit on a school board, and we will not be. Well, let's put it this way: if anyone recommends that we reinstitute a mask mandate, I will be voting not just no, but hell no.
I'm thinking more along the lines of flaming bags of poop on the front doorstep. That's where
that'll stop COVID.
Yep, there you go. Build a resistance to this. There you go.
Flaming bags o poo.
Yep.
There you go.
It'll stop it. Yeah.
Yes, it will. All right, this last story just really caught me by surprise. So at the Sun Bowl, there was an announcer. This is in North Carolina. He works in North Carolina. This was at the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. And they have this thing called a Fun Fest that is normally held. Hold on, wait, let me come down here real quick. It's normally held that same week. All right. And it's usually held in, where was it? I was just looking at it. Anyway, it's held in an arena that's there locally where they were at. And the problem is that it got canceled because once again this being in El Paso, there was no place for them to hold it. The city's convention center was housing border crossers, right? So they were housing border crossers, and so he basically said, well, the reason he was talking about it, the reason why there was no Fun Fest this year was because the place where it's normally held was being used to provide housing for illegal aliens, right? Now, once again, what's funny, Mike, is, and we talked about this, it couldn't have been it was like a couple of weeks ago, where 2 or 3 of the liberal members of the Supreme Court, 2 of the 3, were basically using the term aliens. They were referring to those who were in our country without proper documentation, who had simply just crossed the border, referring to them as aliens. And I'm like, so right. What exactly is offensive about referring to someone who is in our country illegally, using a legal term, alien? What is so? I'm trying to get why this guy got suspended for saying this during the broadcast.
I don't know. Maybe the wokeified bosses that he have, maybe somebody at the TV network where they thought this was going to be airing. I have no idea. You did see, Craig? Did you see there was a comment from the sponsor on this?
I did not see the comment from the sponsor.
Yeah, he said they're great. Who's the sponsor?
Tony the Tiger.
They're great.
So I'm assuming that's Kellogg's. But
yep.
I'm like, he used a. I don't know if using the term illegal before alien makes it a legal term, but the very fact that Supreme Court justices use the term alien, you gotta wonder what exactly did he do or say that was illegal.
maybe this is somebody that absolutely, again, a boss or somebody like that, or somebody at the network that absolutely disagrees with the housing illegal aliens in facilities until they can get processed. They their policy on immigration is completely different than anything anybody's ever wanted, as far as you and I know. Conservatives, even the Democrats now, want to at least get a little paperwork on them before they let them all through. They're not going to do much more than that. But this guy just wants open borders all the time, or girl, whoever wants open borders all the time, who decided that saying illegal alien was enough to pull you off the air over. I mean, Craig, of all the other derogatory terms I can think of in my head that you could refer to illegal aliens as, illegal aliens is not one of them.
No, it is definitely not one that I would look to and consider to be incredibly offensive. And it's funny. I had this conversation. I've had this conversation probably multiple times with my in-law, with my father-in-law, who immigrated here from Fiji, went through the process, paid all the paperwork, all of that stuff. And it offends him. It offends him that people are able to come into the country, that we reward them. And that's really what it comes down to. Despite everything that Biden is trying to say, and when he says, well, we're not encouraging anybody to come, look at what you're rewarding. You're rewarding bad behavior. You're doing everything possible to make it so that they can just walk right into the country illegally. You're providing, not only that, you're providing incentives to encourage them to do so. That's offensive because what happens to all the people? And by the way, it's not just, I just want to be real clear. This is not about Mexico. This is not just Mexico. People from 160 countries, 160 different countries have been detained. That we don't know how many other countries just were, better than the others and not getting caught.
Yep. No, it's a problem. It's got to be addressed soon. And just now throwing somebody off the air for saying the words illegal alien, I don't know who the bosses is, but somebody needs to go in there and give them the old back of the hand, if you know what I'm saying. In theory, not for real. Okay, not advocating violence.
All right, and Mike, and with that, advocating violence. With that, we're going to move on to our parting shot. Go ahead and give a shout out to our parting shot sponsor.
There we go. Hog Holsters, HAWG Holsters. That's helping America wear guns. HAWGholsters.com. Go there, use the discount code The Rundown, all spaces, no caps, one word, and get yourself a nice discount on some of the best tactical concealed holsters on the market.
Excellent, sir. Excellent, sir. So, okay, let's go ahead and let's get into the Savan. So, starting off this first one, in the realm of understanding vaccines, right, and understanding the effectiveness, in particular, of vaccines like the Pfizer vaccine, what if we treated our home alarm the same exact way in which we treated vaccines, or at least held them to the same standards that we're holding our modern day vaccine? You want to describe this one for the folks?
It's a young lady, young newlywed woman appears to be standing there next to the alarm panel. It says Pfizer alarms. We got burglared 3 times, but thank God we had Pfizer alarm. It would have been much, much worse without it.
Yeah. How many times would you have been robbed? Yet and still.
Well, the same amount. You would have got burglarized. That's the point. I think you would have been burglarized the same amount, but it was much, much worse. It could have been much, much worse if they didn't have the alarm. So,
well, I think at one point, they were saying that it would at least reduce the number of times you got robbed. So on top of it would be that.
Yeah. I remember they said you get your first one, you get your first shot or your first booster, and then you don't have to wear a mask anymore, Craig.
Because, you can leave. You can leave your house unprotected. Yeah.
It's all good. You can go back to work. Yeah.
Yep.
Lies,
and lies. All right, the next one is in the Christmas spirit. There are a lot of traditions that take place during the holidays, but there's one that I think that many people tend to forget. And so we wanted to make sure to remind you, and we hope, at least I hope, that you made sure that on Christmas Eve that you did not forget to leave cigarettes, shoes, Twinkies, and a Beretta 92 in the ductwork for John McClane.
Hey, they are thieves, and you need to help John McCain save Christmas. There you go. That's all I need to say. Yeah,
John
McClane.
McClane.
John McClane.
John McCain is
Yeah.
John McCain is no more. That was John McClane.
And that's what happens when you don't leave cigarettes, you know, a Beretta 92 and shoes and in the ductwork. You die. Yeah.
Right. Nakatomi Plaza. We all remember.
That's it. That's it.
All right, this last one. This one is both timely, and in the spirit of the Festivus episode of Seinfeld. This is from Christmas Vacation. It's Griswold there looking at a check, and it says a donation of $54 billion has been made to Ukraine in your name.
Yeah,
Mike, it wasn't just out of our name. It was also out of our pocketbook.
out of our wallets, straight out of the wallets. Yep.
Yeah. And you really didn't have any say about it.
Nope.
Like I said, I will continue to say, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be helping out Ukraine. I'm just saying that writing them blank checks the way we have is irresponsible.
Yep. Yeah. Again, Craig, I know your position on this, but we wouldn't have touched this with this internal conflict there between the Russians and the Ukraine without the Biden's sincere financial interests in the Ukraine. So otherwise, this would have been nothing to us.
Yeah. Do not disagree. Do not disagree. On that note, it's about that time to give a shout out to our sponsors before we head off for the day.
Yeah, Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. Rifle and pistol caliber barrels available, both in rifle and pistol length, hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. You can make a difference in California's future today. Go to California Republican Assembly. And if gear, hunting gear, wet weather gear, that kind of stuff, you can go get all of it at uscombatgear.com.
Folks, once again, these are our sponsors. They bring us to you in hopes that we will bring you to them. So please take a moment, visit them, and let them know that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. And on that note, we're going to call it a day. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Until then, y'all have a good day.